So today we're gonna talk about my process for making my stencils. First, we're gonna talk about the device. I use an iPad Pro. I believe it's at 12.9 inches. It's about the size of an A4 paper. I like this size because it's just closer to an actual real paper. So for me, it's just easier to imagine the image and the tattoo, at the same size. But you can literally use any device that you like or any tablet. I just like Apple because it's connected to all my devices, and for me it's just more convenient. Obviously you need like a pen of some sort, just something to draw the stencil on. Now you will need to download an app that I use. You go to the App Store and download Procreate. This is Procreate. I think it costs like $10, but it's so worth it. I literally use it every single day. I use it for everything. I use it for my merch, to draw my flashes, my stencils, just different kinds of projects, digital drawings, for my documents, for my books, for literally every single thing. So I highly recommend you to purchase this app just because it's really worth it. On my iPad, I like to use this screen protector. I specifically use this brand that is called Paper-like, but on Amazon you can use whatever brand you like. As long as it's something that doesn't make your hands sweaty and you can actually make like long moves with your hand, any brand will be ideal. But I tried this brand and I really like it, so it's the one that I've been using. But I've seen some other brands on Amazon that also work really good and have a little bit more of texture. So now this is the interface. Like I say, I use it for everything. I start by making a new canvas on this little sign, plus sign, and I use this screen size or A4 because it's what I usually use. So this time I'm gonna use A4. So this is my canvas. We're gonna pretend that we're gonna do an stencil for someone. What I will use first is to gather my references. So now I have an album ready here for my references. This is the actual drawing that I did with these references. So as you can tell, it's like very Californian style, the palm trees, the girl, the car. So it's like it's like a whole drawing. I usually don't draw like this for every tattoo, but we're gonna do the example of this drawing to make a stencil. For this drawing, for example, it's like a whole collage of images. I had my image like this. This is very raw. I thought about putting some palm trees. Here's the reference of the palm trees. Then I like the glasses type of thing, so I have a girl with the reference of the glasses. I have a girl for the reference of the hand, and I also like is an example of the flow that I would like for the hair. So once I choose every little element for my stencil, it's honestly like trial and error. I tried many different references. So this is why it works. Also the car, I try many cars. So the raw image will be like this. I have the shoulder from one girl, the hand from another girl, the face, the hair, everything, right? So once I have my raw image, so that's when I'm gonna start making the stencil. I'm gonna choose my brush. As you can see, I have plenty of brushes. I have so many. which I collected from another fellow tattooers. You know, we exchange brushes, and little by little I just keep saving the ones that I use the most. I have a file or a folder here that is I'm working on having like my own set so everybody can see what I use, but for now I'm gonna show you that I use this one. The one that I regularly use is this one, a studio pen, but you can also work like a technical pen or just like a regular pencil, but this is what I use. So once you choose your brush, also here, once you click on the brush, you can kind of like work on the pressure, the stabilization, like the grain. It's like a whole different things that you can work on the brush. Like you can personalize it so much, but for this kind of like basic brush, I can just kind of leave it as it is. I just trying to kind of change a little bit the pressure and the amount of stabilization, so it's just like I can make like a longer stroke for a longer time and it's not like all shaky. It's just like a trial and error, and it depends on your taste, also how fast you draw. So I would recommend just to go through every single thing and just try to make your own brush. Okay, so I have my pen here, I have my stencil here, no, my references. So okay, this is my whole reference here. So we're gonna play a little bit with the values of the image, just so I see where the lightest colors, the darkest, if I can get rid of certain things to make my stencil the most simple as I can. So I just play with it, see what works. If you put the brightness like the highest, you can see the image a little bit clear, and you can get rid of the unnecessary shading that you don't need for your stencil, you know. So once we have the image here, and once I play with the values, what I want by playing with this is just to see the image more clear, the contrast, and just see mostly shapes, you know. So once you have the image how you want it, you're gonna put a sport and you're gonna choose Procreate. Now I send into Procreate and you go open Procreate and you have your image right here. So I'm gonna copy it to my workplace, here, paste. Once we have the image, we're gonna start working on the stencil. We choose the pen, and I like to change the opacity a little bit just so I can see the pen a little bit better. Add an extra layer so you don't draw on your image. Make sure that you add another layer, because it happens that when you choose the layer that you're drawing on and then you finish, and then you can separate the layers at this point, you know. I mean, you can, you know, but it just takes so many unnecessary steps that it's just easier to make another layer and start working from there. Okay, so once you have the image, then I will zoom in and start working on the main lines. So I have this one, I'll start working here. Okay, so I'll adjust the size of my brush. I think a little bit smaller, just so everything looks kind of like the same size. It doesn't really matter because it's a stencil, so just kind of, for me, it works to have the simple stencil the better, because I like to improvise a lot. For example, I could do that with the girl, but in the case with the car, you know, I kind of have to be more precise, just because you want it to be as closer to the actual image. So here we're working, okay, so once we're on the face, okay, so I started by drawing the face of the girl. For the stencil of the girl, like I say, I kind of like to improvise a lot too, so it's not gonna be as exact as this image is. I draw a lot of faces like on my free time, so I kind of know how certain things are on people's faces, so it's very important that you get familiar with the subjects that you trying to tattoo more often. So for example, if I know that I'm gonna be doing girls' faces, it will be ideal if you start studying a little bit of the anatomy of the face. Just because it's better to have the knowledge of what you're trying to work with. It just makes it easier for you, and in the long term, it's gonna help you in many things, on your work, on tattoos, on your stencils, and you don't have to be depending on an image. You know, right now my image, it's so raw, and for someone that is making a stencil for the first time is gonna think that this is kind of crazy, but like I say, I'm very familiar with the images that I use by now, that I don't need an exact picture because I don't do realism and I'm not doing an exact copy. So I leave room for my stencils to have some artistic freedom at the moment of tattooing, you know. What I just showed you is the raw content of the image for a drawing. So this is the actual result of the drawing. As you can see, you know, it's just all made by graphite. So because I don't have a tattoo stencil for now, I'm gonna make my stencil from the drawing, but it can easily be used for any tattoo. The difference on using it for a tattoo is that I will trace the area, the specific area of where the tattoo is gonna be, and I'm gonna take a picture of the tracing paper and kind of like trying to match the image with the shape of the tracing paper. For now, I don't have anyone, sadly, right now that I can make this actual tattoo on someone. But like I mentioned, I will make another video of me tracing the area and the whole process of the tattoo. Right now we're just gonna focus on how I work on this stencil. So we're gonna make the stencil from this image. So like I say, just choose your pen. I like working with the technical pen or the studio pen. This is the ones that I use almost every day. So we're gonna use maybe this one. Let me try this one. I'm gonna try the studio pen, and then try. I think I like this. The thickness. So you're gonna focus on it and start working on the stencil. It will be like in the other raw image. It's too raw, you know. I mentioned that I work a lot on faces, so it's kind of easy for me to make a stencil from just like a blur picture, just because I customize the pictures a lot. So from an actual drawing is much easier because I already know where the lines are going to be, and the shadows and everything. It takes a little bit of experience to work from a raw image, but if you have the time to actually prepare a whole drawing, I mean, do it. That's what I did like for a lot of years, and it gives you a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge on your own technique, and how you draw. You just I feel it's a better way to know yourself as an artist, but it just takes practice. Okay, so I have these ones. I will so I mentioned that I like doing the lines of the main shapes. I really don't like doing every single detail, but if, for example, in a face, I will zoom in the face, see where the highlights of it, and just trace the highlights, with the little circles. It's gonna look kind of funky, but as long as you understand. So once you trace your main areas of highlights and your main lines, so you know that these circles are gonna be untouchable. You're not gonna touch all these areas for your tattoo. So you're gonna trace your highlights. What I just showed you is the way that I work a tattoo stencil, which is a little bit more basic in the lines and shapes. It's just basically just like a line work. Also, as you can see the difference on the other illustration that I did, it's also lines and it's also basic, but it doesn't have the traces for the lining. So here, if I do a little close up here, you can see these little circles are gonna be my guides for the highlights of the image. Here also on the hair, it's gonna be where it's gonna be a little bit darker or lighter. It depends. I kind of like to trace both of them. I keep the image at hand so I can see which one is gonna be dark or light. But usually in the face, I'll trace the circles that are gonna be my untouchable areas on the tattoo. And for an illustration stencil, this one is a bit more cleaner because I can use it for stickers or for a poster, merch. It's basically the same, just a bit cleaner. It takes a little bit more time, whereas the tattoo stencil, like I mentioned before, I like to improvise a little bit more. So here are the two differences. Also, just a couple little tips. On my studio pen, on my pen, I like to change the stabilization, as I mentioned, so I can do a line like this, and if I need to make it straight, just keep holding the pen and it just go to a straight line. It is really helpful to be moving that area, because if it didn't work, just can change the shape to straight. just makes your life so much easier when you need to do like straight lines. For example, on the car, you know, this, you just like basically are going to draw the line like this, and it's just gonna go to a straight line like this. It's gonna be straight and so on. So basically here is the difference between a tattoo stencil and a stencil for an illustration or for merch. They're basically the same, but it has like a slightly bit difference. I hope you enjoyed the video, and just let me know if you have any more questions or if I can add more information to this. Like I mentioned, it's like a really quick guide, but just let me know what you think. Thank you so much. See you soon.